Hello everyone, welcome to the Mi24P Hind. In today's video we're going to be going through the cluster dispensers. So these are the large pods that I have loaded on the exterior here that dispense cluster munitions with the pods stay attached. They're not cluster bombs which drop off and then dispense in that air. These actually have the largest area effect of any cluster dispensers or any bombs that you can release from the Hind. There are limits to what you can load up with them. So as you can see, I've got some missiles here. We are in the Nevada desert and I'm going to be bombing from the rich old altitude of 2,000 meters. So yeah, I need to be relatively lightweight to get up there and get off the ground, as it were. So what we will do is first of all set up the back seat. We'll show you everything you need to do if you happen to be the pilot in this unfortunate exercise, trying to cluster bomb things from 2,000 meters. But hey, the exercise is worth following through because it shows you a whole lot of things like use the bombing tables and things like that. So what I'll do is I'll get rid of the stick and set up the armament panel so that we're ready to go. So there's really two things. You turn on the fire control and you set it to USLP. So you can dispense these from the back seat, and so the guy in the front could tell you when to dispense, and you could dispense and you can discontinue using this button. But we're going to be operating it all from the front seat so that you can get a bit of a sense of how that works as well. Right, now that we've set up the back seat, let's get into the front seat and then we'll get ourselves airborne. So in the front seat, what you need to do is first of all turn on all your armament panels. Without this bar being switched up, you get nothing, no weapons, nothing at all. Over here, you need to make sure the FDI is in the on position, CPLR is in the on position. I think that has something to do with the guidance or the automatic ranging, and this is in the operation position. It's just as fairly standard stuff. We're not going to use the missiles, but we might as well just turn them on for the sake of it. It's not going to be cold, so we don't need any of this. If you were setting up the missiles, you do all the usual stuff to set up the missiles, like the guidance and the missile selection box. Right, okay, but those aren't required for the dispensers. So let's get on to the dispenser stuff. So what is required for the dispensers is you arm bombs, you leave this with the pilot, and you move it to dispensers. And you can see both of these lamps are lit. So the minimum for dispensers is safety switches. Make sure your default's set up. I don't think those make much of a difference, but make sure they're set up anyway, otherwise other weapons are going to be a problem, like the gun. Set bombs to armed, set to USLP, and you're good to go. This will dispense. This will stop the operation of the dispensing. Now when you dispense, you actually leave quite a trail of destruction, so you can actually do several runs at this if you're keen. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take off and head out towards the target. I'm going to climb to 2,000 meters, but you don't need to live through that whole experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video here, and then we're going to come back to you when we're at 2,000 meters heading in towards the target, or not. Actually, before we do that, probably what's easier to do on the ground, I normally do this in the air, but I'm going to do it on the ground, is I'm going to set up the site. And the reason I'm going to set it up on the ground is that I'm not going to be in a panic as I'm in that final run over the target. So first of all, for bombing, below a certain altitude, what you can do is you can set the sight inclination or the depression on the sight so that you can hit the target. So for example, if we were trying to cluster bomb with bombs a target under 200 meters altitude, if we're running at 200 meters altitude above the target, we'd be going at, I think, 21.5 degrees of depression. And once that crosshair, and let me just raise myself in the seat so that you can see it, and once that crosshair passes over the target, then at that point you would release. You do need to have the position keys mapped for the front cockpit because you're all over the place. But yeah, if you're at 400 meters, that generally is pretty neutral. So 400 meters, 250 kph means that you'd put that at about 30. But we're going at 2,000 meters. So there isn't a sight depression for 2,000 meters. So what you need to do is a combination of setting the sight to its maximum, which is 30 degrees, which I've just about got right there. That looks about dead on for 30, maybe just one more touch to get it about right. So that's about 30 there. So this line and this line line up, lock it in place. And so what we're going to be doing is over here, and I'll just turn my head and move myself forward in the seat so that you can see it, is this calculation box. So what this does is a timer. So there's a couple of switches on it, and there's a couple of dials. So because we're going to be going at 2,000 meters, and I estimate that we will be doing about 280 ground speed knots. We're going to be doing 250 kph. Bombing tables, the closest I've got is 290, so we need to set this for 19.6 or near on 20 seconds. You can tell shortly when you see the bombing run, you'll be able to see why I'm not too fussy compared with, let's say, a low drag bomb about the exact number of seconds, because you've got a little bit of give and take, because it is a very area effect weapon. So what we're going to do is we're going to flick the switch over so it takes the reading off this dial, and all we do here is click on it so that it can rotate. So it sort of raises and lowers. So what I'll do is I might just go back in the cockpit so that you can sort of see it at a bit of an angle. So as I click it, you can see it raises and lowers. When it's lowered, you can't adjust it. When it's raised, you can. So what I need is 20 seconds. So that's 8, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So I want it here, lock it in place. Now when I start the switch, it'll start a counter that after 20 seconds will light up this little light here. It looks like the light's lit, but that's just a reflection of the sun. That'll turn amber in about 20 seconds. So what you do is when this crosshair here, and let's just bring it up, passes over the sight, you flick the switch up, it starts the counter, and once it reaches the timer, that turns amber, just like it has now. So if I stop the timer, that'll go back to its natural color. Okay, so if you're lower, you may need a shorter amount of time. So what we'll do is we'll raise that and we'll set it on 3 seconds, so, or maybe 4 seconds, so that you can see how it works. So what we do is this is now on to the left. The switch, the selector is on the left, so it's taking its reading off the left dial. We press it up, we look at this light, wait a couple of seconds, and after 4 seconds it goes yellow or lights up, and you release the bombs. Right, okay, so that's how it's all going to work at 2,000 meters above the target. So this target is actually 2,677 meters above the ground, so I need to be flying at a barometric altitude of 2,677 meters. And as I said, I need to spend the time getting up there, but I'm going to pause the video for you guys. G'day, welcome back. So here we are now at 2,000 meters above ground level. So let's go have a look at the F10 map and see what our real altitude is. So we are at 2,000, it's feet, isn't it, lovely? 2,675, so we're in 2,677, that's all good. Our speed is nearly 290 kph. And one of the reasons that it's really good to do this high altitude stuff is that it teaches you how to do things properly, because what I've been doing at low altitude has been treating the indicated airspeed as pretty much the ground speed. That's not actually often the case. So what we're going to do here is just do a quick correction to make sure that we're flying directly at the target. So if we consult the bombing tables, and I'm going to look a little bit off to the left here so I'm not staring at anything. If we consult the bombing tables at 2,000 meters, we have got an indicated airspeed of 250 kph, but our ground speed is 290 kph, which means that we need 19.6 seconds. Now this lovely Soviet technology doesn't go to 19.6; it goes to 20. So I've got that set at 20 seconds, and just make sure it's locked in place. Make sure the timer's off. Let's zoom back out. And let's just have a look and see how we're tracking towards our target. Not too good.
Heading to direction.
No, we're a bit to the right of it, a bit to the left of it, sorry, so I'm just going to oversteer a little bit.
Copy.
So what we're going to do is as we fly over the target, as the crosshair goes over the target, let's just bring ourselves forward so we can see the crosshair. As the crosshair flies over the target, what we're going to do is we're going to press up the switch, which I actually have bound to a key. We're going to wait for the 20 seconds, and when that light goes off, I'm going to start dispensing by pressing this dispense button here, which I also have bound. So here we are, heading in. Oh, it's looking a bit dodge. It's a bit late to do corrections like this, but let's give it a
Copy.
chance.
Heading to direction.
Okay, so what we're going to do is hopefully he keeps our speed going. Right. Well, you'll be able to see how close we are. Because it's quite a long line of bomblets, I'm just going to start the process here. So I've clicked the switch. And what we're going to do is wait for this light to turn on, and then I'm going to press the dispense button. And we are going to start dispensing now. Okay, as you can see, it starts at one side. If I press the stop dispensing button, it stops. I can start dispensing again. And let's just have a look at how that looks from above. We don't want that. So here we are, you can see the parachutes are overshooting the target, but the real thing we're worried about is the bomblets. And how are they looking? That's looking pretty good. And you can see the break, and then you get a few dispensed at the end. And there you are. Using the dispensers, it's really good to do some extreme examples of something because I actually learned a lot from that. At lower levels, if you watch my lower level video, I just set the sight to whatever my indicated airspeed is, and mostly I get it pretty close, like at 400 meters or 200 meters. But obviously at 2,000 meters, yeah, it took a few attempts to shoot this video in order to get it right, but yeah, definitely worth it because I learned a whole lot about dropping munitions in the Hind. So the key thing is the bombing tables are in Chuck's guides, so go to Chuck's guides for the bombing tables. The bombing tables will tell you how much you need to depress below 400 meter generally, or how much you need to set the timer above 400 meters generally in order to be able to hit the target at a given indicated ground speed. If you've got an indicated airspeed of 250 kph. Best of luck. Hope you find a human pilot to take you through this as well, because that would make it immense fun. I have flown a little bit with a human pilot, and it is a blast in the Hind. Watch for some of those videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.